I want everyone listening to ask themselves the question no matter what industry you're in. If you're working for someone, if you're going for a job interview, if you're graduating school, whatever it is, one, assume that you're good. Don't talk yourself down to the point where you think everyone's great and you're not great. Assume you're good, but then assume everyone is good. What are you going to do?
From Toronto, PHANTA Media presents the Not So Corporate Podcast.
Hello. How you doing? This is Mark Drager, the host of the Not So Corporate Podcast. I'm joined here in studio with Mr. Louis Vizenios. Hey, Louis.
Hey.
And right around the table, Roland Echeverria. Try to sound a little bit more...
So excited.
Let's try to sound a little bit more excited for us, Roland. There you go. As well, you heard the voice there of Mr. MBA almost himself, Kyle Wilson.
Hello.
And so hold on, before we jumped on the air, we're gonna get into what we're gonna talk about this week. But you very briefly mentioned, Kyle, that you got into an argument with a radio host.
Yeah, he was talking about...
So hold on, you were listening to like talk radio, or this?
Talk radio, and he's talking about how it's unfair that the hip ticket sold out so fast.
Okay, what time of day was this?
This is while I was waiting for Canada Computers to open.
Yeah, but what time of day? Because it just tells me.
Exactly. Like 11.
Okay,
11:30.
And you were listening to News Talk 1010.
No, AM 640.
Oh, I don't know.
The blue collar one.
Okay, I don't know. I listened to 1010 if it's gonna be anything. So you're listening to a local Toronto talk radio person, and you get into a fight with him about the Tragically Hip.
Because I'm like, you're misinforming people. That was the pre-sale that sold out. Like, the concert isn't sold out yet. And I'm like, you need to stop misinforming people. And I said it like 3 times because I'm like, I wanted to respond. And then all of a sudden, I go inside Canada Computers, come back out, turn the radio, and he's reading it off. He's like, pre-sale is sold out, not the full concert. Stop misinforming people. And he's like, Kyle, you got to clean out your ears. Are you even listening to me? And then his producer started like tweeting me pictures of Q-tips and stuff. And
so this was all through a Twitter fight. This wasn't even a text-based fight or anything.
I was Twitter. He was live on the air. He was yelling at me on the air.
You know what it is? It is a bit of a...
But why was he so mad? Wasn't he the one who screwed up? Or you just
wasn't listening, but I wanted to like incite him so he would actually call me out.
Nice. There is a certain amount of rush, and I know it's a really small vain thing, but there's something about tweet. Like I text people, and sometimes they'll comment or they'll read it out.
Yeah.
I listened to this podcast that I've listened to for years, and for like 10 years they've been on. And one time, one of the hosts said something obnoxious about Canada, so on Facebook I called him out on it. And the next episode they apologized, and you're like, hey, that's pretty cool, you know?
So funny.
You got a personal apology. He said, "Oh, sorry, Mark, in Canada."
Well, we used to get personal apologies every 2 seconds.
We used to give them out or get them.
Too soon.
Oh, yeah, too soon. My apologies.
My apologies. Didn't want to get into that.
Ouch.
Anyway, so Twitter battles aside with radio hosts, this week on the podcast, we have a very special roundtable conversation. We're going to talk about the pitch. We're going to talk about the importance, the pitch, the presentation, the creative.
No, like baseball pitching.
The creative concept presentation, the delivery. How important are creative concepts? How important is, I don't like the word the pitch, we usually use presentations, but how important is it to present to a client?
It's everything.
Well, okay, that's great. Let's hold that thought. Well, fantastic. So that's the end of the podcast.
That's it. Period. Done. All right.
So basically, according to Roland, it's everything. No reason to go on,
no.
But we will. Here we go. So I wanted to have a conversation about creative concepts, pitching, presentations, the delivery of that. How important is it? Only because for us, it's become more important as we've gotten better at it. There was a long time where we felt it was enough to say we're really smart people. Because to be honest, we've been doing this almost 10 years. So when we started, there weren't really a lot of smart people out there, but now there are a ton of smart people. And then we say, well, we're really, really professional.
So
there's a lot of professional people there. Well, I think essentially our market has matured. I think our market's matured. I think we've gotten collectively as an industry of creatives and video-centric people, we've just become smarter, right? So there's lots of smart people.
Okay.
There's lots of good ideas. There's lots of professionalism. There's lots of if you have budget, you can hire people who can do great work. There's lots of great work out there. So when we're up against other people, when we're all up against other people, how do you distinguish yourself, right? Like, how do you, what are you presenting if a client comes to 3 or 4 or 5 different companies and they're all smart and they all say they can do it for the price they're going to do it for, and they all, are professional, and they all have this good gear, and they all have the same stuff, if they all have everything the same, what are you presenting? What are you presenting? Right? And so,
good gear.
Well, okay, Roland, do you want to help me along this train, this thought train that I'm taking us on, or do you want to just throw stuff out there and take us off?
I'd be like
off
the
rails?
gospel, repeat
I think we know the
things.
answer to that question.
Yes. Do you want to take us off the rails?
So people
Roland?
can remember it.
Preach it.
Preaching it.
There you go. So okay, so that's the question I would throw out to all of you guys, right? Like, we'll sit down with it in front of a client, or not even in front of a client. We'll sit down before we're in front of a client, and we'll say, what are we presenting? Right? Like, if it's professional, tons of professionals. If it's good ideas, tons of good ideas. If it's equipment or skill set or budget, what are we presenting?
You want me to go? Because I have like the perfect MBA answer. It's really funny.
Yeah, hit us with the MBA answer.
I think you should identify the key stakeholders and identify their management preferences and what they hold as being important to them.
We already do that.
Yeah.
We ask them the question, what do you value?
And then just target that with what you offer.
We already do
Done.
that. So there's that great
on that.
MBA. So you're getting an MBA to basically use big words for something we already do, but we just
Exactly.
we just ask them what they value.
But hang on, so you can do that.
But lots of people
on.
can do that.
But hang on.
Yeah.
You do that. But what if you're trying to change their business? How do you go about that? MBA?
Well, you have to identify the gap between where they are and where you want them to go and see if you can fill it with what you have. Or if you can get the resources to fill it.
Well, so in that conversation that we have when we say, okay, if we're all smart, if we're all blah, 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 what are we really pitching? Obviously, the answer and what we're talking about today is the creative concept or the pitch or the idea. Really, our goal, and I think everyone's goal in the marketplace, except for those who compete against us, because I don't want to make you guys better, but our goal is to go in swinging so hard that people go, these guys are amazing. Even if we don't give them the work, we're still in awe of them.
Yeah.
Our goal with anything is to come in and have people say, these guys are so good that we'll, even if we can't work with them for whatever reason, conflict, political, budget, whatever it is, we still want to be amazed by them. That's our goal and what we come into.
Okay, so I think really the clients are much smarter nowadays. Like, I think what pushes the vendors is the acumen of the clients, and that increase over time. Beginning with kind of the dawn of the information age, it's just been, like a railroad.
The dawn of the information age.
Well, like just the internet has changed.
They're more savvy, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
it's become it's a resource that anyone can pull from.
Yeah.
And
It's like the Google.
yeah, and it just instantly informs you and just makes you smarter. I mean, because it's right there. That's what raises the bar. And then I think when it comes to when you're pitching, I think you got to flip it. I don't think it's about like you. I think it's about them. I think you got to look at them and look at their weaknesses of their strategy, of their approach, of their undertaking, whatever it may be. And I don't think it's about a mirror on you, on the vendor. I think it's about them.
I think when it comes to pitching, like Mark said, I mean, when I approach Elise is, who am I, and why are these people not like me?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to come in and offer an honest interpretation, an honest idea, an honest approach to whatever their need is, a solution to their need, and come out and say, this is what we believe is what you need. Sometimes clients say, I need this, and we contemplate that, and we add it into what we're thinking. But there are times when we say, we can come in with options. We're like, here's what you're saying. We tweak it to make it work. But you know what? We really thought about it, and I think this could really work for you. And I think in those opportunities when people get kind of like, oh, they like what we're saying, because it comes from a place that we believe it. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's not what they want, but we are being honest. We are excited about helping them, and we just enough is not enough. We just say, let's do the best that we can. And hopefully it sticks.
So you're almost getting a little bit into next week's episode, we have a great episode on insight selling, and we talk a little bit about that.
We already did that episode.
We already recorded it, but it goes out next week. So next week's episode on insight selling is interesting. You're almost getting in a bit of what we cover there in terms of providing insights. But you know what it is, and maybe we're unique. Like, I think when you come from...
comes out is a lot of people are timid, to be honest. I think people are timid. When you're in a professional environment, I know I used to experience it where I used to be timid. I used to be quiet. I don't want people thinking this or that of me.
Yeah.
Let me play by the rules.
Right.
And now I see it as like, well, let me be curious. Let me say what's my mind. As long as it's not like retarded, like let's go blow and get hookers.
Right.
Or maybe we can say that.
Not that
I don't
there's
know.
anything wrong with that.
hookers and blow. But so
Be direct.
Roland, you're right. Like where I was going with it was when you cut. Like I came from film school.
Yeah.
You did you go to film school?
Yes.
And you went to film school.
That's right.
And you went to film school. We all went to film school. Now, aside from Kyle, who's getting his MBA,
I'm gonna become a cop. By the way, I'm going to police academy.
CMP.
Oh, yeah.
you're going to
got
Police
training.
Academy.
Police academy.
When are you doing that?
You're going to be a part-time officer.
So other than
I just gotta beat up kids in the
Kyle,
alleyways.
okay. Other than Kyle, who is pursuing a proper training and education in management, consulting, and business and finance and all that other stuff, we all went to film school.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you come to business with a bit more of a technician mindset, someone who thinks about the technical and thinks about making it happen and how are we going to make it happen in the, I don't know, whatever, the lenses and the codecs and the technical side of things, we tend to think that it's enough to have the right technical credibility, right? Like I have the proper equipment, I have the proper skill sets. Look at my examples of work, and it's just like that's not enough,
No.
right? And we spent a long time. Well, we've never really relied on that solely because we spent years shooting on SD when people were on HD. We ask Roland.
We're in HD when everyone is 4K.
Yeah, we're still in HD when everyone's in 4K. So I don't really.
A lot of our work is web-based, though. Just putting that out there.
Yeah,
fine.
that sounds like something that someone I knew used
I have
to
a
say about
4K
standard
iPhone,
net.
okay? I want to be able to see that shit crystal clear.
Anyway, so the point
If
is
my
that
nephew can shoot 4K in his phone, you better shoot 4K.
the point that I'm trying to make, guys,
100%.
is that you don't have to. You can get out of the technical mindset and look at what clients really value, and I think we were late to the ball. Like I think we spent a lot of time focusing on being, as I mentioned, professional, and it was just like. There's a lot. I mean, and that's what hurt our business for the last 2 years. It's like, gosh, there's a lot of good companies out there. There are not only a lot of good companies, there's a lot of good freelancers out there. There are people who can run with a project under client direction. Now, why would someone come to us versus going with them?
I spent a long time as a freelancer delivering or trying to deliver what I thought was a sick video. Right?
Those were air quotes in case
Air
you're
quotes,
by the way.
Right?
Sick.
So like steady cam and this and that and the craziness. What we do here, we deliver the right video. It's the right video
So it's
that
not
gets
sick?
delivered. It's not not necessarily not sick, but it's the right video.
Are you running for mayor of Markham?
Yeah, absolutely.
He does sound like a
Wait.
politician. He sounds like Donald Trump.
Build a wall.
The sick video is going to be huge, and I'm going to make them pay for it. But
How can you say the freelancers are good? Because at that point, they're just a resource for the client.
listen. If
That's not...
why would I say freelancers are good?
Yeah,
If you need a technical person to shoot stuff,
right. Then that's fine.
what's the value prop to come into us? Right?
There isn't.
There was this,
Insight.
what's the value
Insight
prop
and
to,
solutions.
Right, but that's when someone's
what if
looking
they
for
already
someone
have that
more
stuff
than
they
a
want?
technical
if
provider.
they're just looking for execution. Okay.
Yeah,
Like
I
we
get
have an
people.
example from last week.
Yeah, so like we had
cinema package.
So we had a
Cinema
a California-based company, a really large company shooting here in Toronto. They needed to do pickups, and they said, hey, we love your firm, we love what you do. It looks like you guys are great. Can you quote out, please, a single day of production based on blah 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 blah. And so we went through and ran it, and then we went back to them and said, listen, I know you asked for this, I know you want this, but this is really our recommendation. Here's the pricing. And as far as Roland can tell, the very people we were looking to staff it with, they also quoted for direct.
Oh.
And Roland was
Damn
like,
it.
when we were pricing it, Roland was like, Mark, why would they need us? They don't need us. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? Like we want to do the work for them. We want to do it well. We want to staff it. But if there's no value prop, There's no creative concept. There's no pitch. There's nothing. They need staff. They can get the staff direct. What should we do it at? Totally, should we take on the risk and do it at
No,
cost?
they didn't need a producer. They just needed.
They need a tripod
We put
and
one
a camera.
in. We put one in, but they didn't because the guy was flying up. Super nice guy, right? But there was no way for us to price it out and win. And so, but that's the perfect example. We're working on another project for a large organization that was our client a long time ago. Here's the thing, like this client came to us and said, can you please redo exactly what you did in the past? And we're getting quotes from other people. Roland and I are sitting there. We go, okay, so one, we cannot pitch them any new creative concepts.
Yep.
We can't change anything. We're literally, I know we're the incumbent, but we're
Yeah.
up against people who he's more comfortable with. So we called him up and I said, hey, listen, here, I'm going to be honest with you, right? Like we want to work with you. We want to do the project again, but we're not allowed to change the creative. We're not allowed to come up with new concepts. We're not allowed to pitch anything. You know, we're looking at the stuff and we're going to say we can do it for your budget, but anyone can say you can do it for your budget. Anyone can deliver the work.
Yeah.
We think our work's going to be better, but anyone can say it. What would lead you to pick us? Is that good enough for you that we just say we're on budget? And he goes, no, it's not enough.
Okay.
So we're like, okay. So we were emboldened to come back to him, even though he said no creative changes, even though he said no creative concepts differences. We went back to him with two new creatives and one original. And guess the direction they're going.
It was in
The
line with what they
creative.
were doing.
Guess the direction they're going, though.
The red seat.
Yeah, but they're going new creative.
They
New
are going-
creative.
Even though they said do not
They're
price
new
out new
creative.
creative, do not. What damn it?
No, but within the constraints of the.
No,
the-
but
what was
they're
said.
going with
All
us.
new?
They're going with us. You know
Did
what
you
it
like
is?
reduce his
You
baseline?
know
on
what
that?
it is? It's me. 6
Oh, you're
months
raising
ago.
it, if anything.
6 months ago, it's me going. It's not enough for us to be us. We need to be better than us.
Right.
We need to get better. We need to get better.
Yeah.
And then going, what do clients value? And then the same thing, like, I shared with Evan on Evan's podcast about risk. I shared how I felt it was a bit risky to do this big pitch without submitting a pitch, but doing it via presentation.
The video. Oh, yeah.
And we thought, okay, well, that's, we're going to put us up front. This is the same thing. It's me calling him up and saying, listen, between you and me, we're both professionals, right? Why would you pick us? Just because we say we can do it for the price, just because we say we can deliver. I mean, everybody's going to do that. Everyone's going to do it. So tell me what I can give you to push you over the edge. When I said, is that enough for you? If he said, yeah, that's enough for me, Mark, I would have said, okay. And I would have given him what he asked for. I wouldn't have pushed. So
Right.
that's the thing. It's like it's us going. It's us being aware that it's just not enough to be good. It's not enough to be great.
Yeah.
It's not enough to have a good work experience. It's not enough to be friendly people. It's not enough to be responsive. None of that matters. What you need to do, and what we've been doing differently, is we've been sharing our intentions. Like, listen, don't get so caught up in the numbers. Don't get so caught up in the creative. Don't get so caught up in anything.
Right.
All we want to do is revolutionize your business, or all we want to do is help you guys, or all we want to do is whatever it is.
Right.
All we want to do is the best project possible, or make you look good, or these are our intentions. Everything else is just
Sometimes, but you just
Stuff.
being engaged,
Yeah.
people that
They
gives
like
you
it.
points.
Yeah.
Not just by saying, yeah, I can do it. For example, I have an example years ago, way before Fanta, 2008, was freelance DP. This short film comes about. It's just a short film. I'm probably going to make no money, just maybe my camera, rental lenses, whatever.
Yeah.
And I sent to the people, hey, here's my website, here's my stuff. And I was younger and I was like, I thought that was pretty good. And it's like, well, if they don't take me, they're lost, whatever. That's what I was thinking. But then
Right.
I sat down and said, you know what? I read the script. Yeah, the script sucks.
Yeah.
But it's a new person. It's totally something out of what I usually do, which is darker, kind of moody. It was supposed to be bright and super colorful. And I spent an hour just pulling shots from movies and the art and said, hey, I'm thinking they just got into
Yeah.
the zone, send this package to director. And just because of that, they picked me. More so because they have 3 guys with similar reels and who to pick. But the fact that you seemed like I was interested, I was analyzing the story and all this stuff, it just showed to them that I was
you
more
put
on
yourself
board.
into it.
Can
Yeah.
I share another example?
Yeah,
here
please.
real quick. So this is interesting because we used to. So I mean, I've talked about this in the Mark in the Car series, Extraordinary Video, or whatever, the vlog series we do.
Yeah.
But I've talked about jumping off points.
Yes.
Right. Like we've always leveraged. People find it so hard to conceptually understand what the hell you're talking about. So what
They
we
do.
do is we leverage what we call jumping off points, which is this creative sample or a sample that exists. Not necessarily, it's not proof that we can do the work. It's like pulled from anywhere. It's pulled from Europe. It's pulled from different industries. It's short films. It's Roland has used Apocalypse Now, still frames from that on a wellness video or something. So it's like basically it's something that can spur on a conversation. And what we do is we pull it to say, hey, look at this tone.
Right.
Look at this voiceover delivery. Look at this scripting element. Look at this graphic element. Look at the way it's shot. Look at the interviews. Look at and so for a project, we sometimes we'll come in with like 3 or 4 different jumping off points and say, watch this, watch this, watch this. Or what we'll do is we'll come back and say, like, here are the 4 different approaches we feel you can take, and here are examples of this, and this is how we see it playing out for you.
Right.
So we leverage these jumping off points, and that's a big part of our our presentation, our creative presentations, to say, hey, we know you want interview based. You can take this 10 different ways, and here are 3 that we recommend. Let's talk it out. Or, hey, we know that you want to do a 30-second broadcast spot, but there are, how many hundreds of thousands of different ways you could take it. So here is the creative concept, leveraging photos or whatever it may be. Just, here's a song, here's the mood, whatever it is. Here's the creative concept we're communicating. I met with a company. They briefed me. Really, really big organization. They briefed me. Huge. They're huge. So I did what I always did. I met with a team. We sat down. We talked about what their needs are. We talked about the project. We went through the brief. We pulled jumping off points. I went back and presented. I presented them a ton. I presented them like 8 different approaches because they had no idea what they wanted.
Right.
All different ranges, talking about different things. They had different budget ranges. They said, oh, Mark, these all look good. I don't know what to do with them. So I said, well, okay, we'll think about them for the weekend.
Yeah.
They think about them for the weekend. They come back without crossing off any. Usually we ask them, hey, eliminate the ones that don't work. They come back and they talk about what they like and don't like about them. So I call the guy up and I say, hey, listen, we want to do your project. We want to work with you. We feel that we're capable. We've had great conversations. We can do it for the budget you want. Is that enough? And he goes, well, it's competitive. Other people are coming in with the concepts and ideas and this and that. I've already shared with him jumping off points. Like I've already gotten him excited about stuff. Yeah. So what's to stop him from taking our ideas and just working with someone else now?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. Let's book a meeting. I'll come in and present. All right. So I booked the meeting to present.
Right.
But I hadn't yet confirmed what I was going to present because I already shared creative concepts to a certain degree with them.
Right.
So then we sit down and we say, well, what are we going to do to win this? And we don't know if we've won it yet. But I know that I went in swinging. I know that I went in and did everything I could to win it. And I even said to them, I sat down in the presentation and I said, listen, I've already shared my suggestions. I've already shared creative concepts, different approaches. I already said we could do it for the budget. I've done all that. So what am I going to do to impress you guys? Here. You have a lot of questions. Here's every single answer as if we were doing this project. So normally we would work with you guys through all these answers, but we just want to show you the way we would think.
Yeah.
So here you go. And I took them through like 40 minutes of answering every question that they could possibly have and our recommendation for those things. And then I represented one single creative approach. And I'm taking a swing at it because at the end I say, listen, if you want to do anything, we can do anything with you. If you want to work on any budget, we can work on any budget with you. If you make one change, this whole creative presentation went out the window. But what I want to show you is that this is what we will do for you if you partner with us. This is just like, if it's sliding doors or if your future is like multiple different paths, choose your own adventure. Yeah. We basically just chose your adventure for you and did everything to prove to you how it would be if we went through with you. Now, that took tons and tons of time. It took tons and tons of effort. It's risky because one thing early on can be wrong in their mind and then everything below that is discounted. But what did I have? What could I show them? What was I pitching? What I was pitching that I wasn't pitching creative in that case. I was pitching process and thinking and philosophy and approach and the fact that we have the answers. We're experienced.
Right. Yeah, it's like confidence, but it's at the same time.
You gotta do the bat throw. What is it? The bat flip.
The Batista backflip.
You need to do that. That's it. You just gotta do it.
Oh, I love that. I love that analogy.
That's it.
It's really nice.
You need to. You know what? And it's. I want everyone listening to ask themselves the question, no matter what industry you're in. I want us always, if you're working for someone, when you come in every single day, if you're going for a job interview, if you're graduating school, whatever it is, just automatically assume that assume that you're good.
Right.
Don't talk yourself down to the point where you think everyone's great and you're not great.
No, confidence is key.
Assume you're good, but then assume everyone is good.
Right.
What are you going to do? Right? I couldn't, in that situation with that one project, I couldn't pitch creative because, they're speaking to other creative companies. So I went the other way and I went, you know what? I'm going to answer every single question for them. And they had a lot. Their brief had 14 considerations. and I basically listed every single one out and said, "This is my recommendation for you."
And I think if you didn't have that that kernel of modesty, you wouldn't have done that work. If you were just strictly confident, then you wouldn't have gone through every possible scenario, right? I don't think that would have happened. Like, I think if you just went in really just super confident, you wouldn't have addressed all those things. I think the humbleness adds to that. But and that's part of the authenticity that Roland was talking about, I think.
But that comes from so you can walk into a situation that is coming in and say, I am good, I know I can do this, it's your loss to take me, or come in and say, I know I'm good, I can do this, but I want to do it.
Yeah, it's the attitude.
This is two different
things. That's the other thing, is which we do on every project that I really want. We tell people we want it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not afraid to say, we used to do we're really excited about this project. And most of the time we were really excited about the project. Now I go, we want this project. And we're going to do what it takes to work.
So you don't tell the client what they want to hear. You come at it from a place of just complete honesty.
Intentions, man.
Right.
Share your intentions.
Yeah.
And this is new. This is all new ground to us, right? Like we're learning every day. We've been running for almost a decade. This is just every year we're learning. Every year we're getting better. But our business was sliding, and it was like, why is it sliding? The market's shifting. It's becoming more commoditized. It's becoming harder. It's tough. It's tough going for any company in our industry right now. It's really tough going. I've hit the point now where I've been doing it long enough, and I've been chasing things long enough, and I've been trying hard enough, where I'm like, all I can do is share my intentions. That's it. There's so many good companies out there.
Yeah.
It's sharing your intentions, but you're kind of like, you're thinking strategically, though, because you're finding a differentiator
that comes into the inside sales, right? Which
it's not.
You're getting ahead of this.
If you know everyone's good and you know everyone's going to pitch, and your pivot is at presenting all the answers to their questions in the brief, then that's a differentiator.
Well, in this one case, it is. Other times, their brief is non-existent, and we go in and we pitch creative concepts, and we think, okay, if you're thinking, like I used to call it leaning in, right? Like I don't know if you guys have ever sat in meetings with anyone, where you're having a very logistical meeting. You're having the conversation that's very clinical. It's very not cold, but it's just you're working through details.
Yeah.
Right? And if in any early on meeting, any meeting at all though, but if you're working through details, or if the person you're speaking against is crossed-armed, or if they're leaning back, or if they're closed off and guarded, my job is to get the people to lean forward, right? Like that one moment where they go oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, you see it.
Or, oh, that's a good idea, or that's really creative, or whatever it is. And if I leave the meeting without being able to get them to open up a bit, I will literally say, I'll call them on it. I'll be like, listen, man, and Roland's been, I don't know if Roland thinks it's, crazy the way I do it or not, but I'll be like, do you guys even like us? Like, I feel like you're holding back.
Yeah.
What, what's going on here? We have this long-term client that we love and adore, and we've had all of these great conversations. And the last conversation we had was, I felt a little like a negotiation, after months and months and months of working with them. And I was like, I was a bit uncomfortable. Maybe I was just me. I was like, guys, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Let's talk this out. I feel like we've been going the same direction, and all these great things have happened. And since the last conversation, something's changed. Yeah. So I'm not trying to sell you anything. Yeah. I'm not trying to make money off you guys. All I want to do is help you. What's going on? And so, to me, that's like sharing intentions. Right. But that goes into the pitch. Even it goes into the presentation, creative ideas. Right. Like, hey, we're really excited about these ideas because we feel that they're aspirational, or they could raise the bar, or they could push you to a new level, or they're going to help you, or whatever it is. But all we want to do is help people, man.
And buy trucks.
Trucks. That has nothing to do with it. Guys are making fun of me because I bought a Ram 1500.
Ram 1500.
Ecodiesel.
Ram.
What's Ecodiesel? What is that?
That's just
It's
the brand.
Ecodiesel.
That's just the brand.
Okay.
That's the brand name for their 3-liter V6 diesel.
Pretty much they're using Volkswagen technology, which
No,
you do
it's
computers,
Fiat.
telling them
It's
that's clean.
It's from
Fiat.
So it doesn't kill 10 baby whales. It kills only 3.
The emissions are. It's got one of the cleanest emission standards.
Okay.
Until they
because-
find the
No.
until they discover it.
No, guys. You guys drive the
Scam.
Volkswagens, okay? You both drive
Yeah, man.
Volkswagens?
Gas,
Fiat has a
Volkswagen.
Recall.
chip too.
No, the EcoDiesel puts out, the new diesels have DEF, which is diesel exhaust fluid, which basically
Oh.
turns the ignition into water.
Oh.
So the new
Which goes where?
which in the
To
atmosphere, it's
atmosphere,
basically a
and then
hybrid.
it burns up. The new diesels run cleaner than any petrol engine. It's better
Petrol.
for the environment.
Wow.
Yeah,
For now, at least.
if it's
that
not a
is a
Volkswagen,
differentiator.
Define
because the
truth.
Volkswagens don't have the urea, which is which is the DEF.
I
The
think
computer
urea is
chip,
something
it's
else.
fine.
Yeah, that sounds like something.
no,
else.
urea
You don't
is,
need to be
is,
truthful.
is
You
the
just need to
DEF
lie.
Oh,
chemical.
is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Volkswagen
Not a
way.
not a urethra.
Okay.
Urea, I think
Right.
it's called. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, side note there, if anyone else
Cut it all out.
no,
No,
if
that's-
anyone else is a
that's
Ram
flavor.
driver or
So let's go-
or
let's go.
loves their Ecodiesel, you go ahead and send me an email, feedback at
Share your
notsocorporatepodcast.com. Share your intentions about how great, dude, man. The
Hashtag
truck
share your
sounds. The trucks. You haven't even come and seen it yet, eh?
I gotta say though, Mark,
You haven't even seen it.
you were driving up the other day,
And I shouted at you. I said,
you did?
I shouted truck.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
What
And
did you think I said?
I don't know. I had my
I
headphones
said,
on.
I said, it's a truck.
I didn't. I don't know, man. I didn't hear that. Like, it's funny because I left.
You had your headphones on, you said.
Yeah, but I left, and I was like, I knew that you had left too, and then you hadn't come down the street yet, and I'm like, okay, man, let's hear this truck. Like, let's hear this.
It's not a diesel V. It's not a V8. It's not a Hemi. The Hemis
not a
sound like
Mustang.
the
Oh, that
Hemis go
sounds
like.
so good.
Because my dad had a Hemi, and that thing you could hear that from
But
like.
dude, a Hemi is like an amazing V8 engine.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
a small diesel engine.
It's a Fiat.
So
You sure could pull that
Christ's
load?
sake.
anyway,
Can you rip that thing though? Can like.
it's
is it-
got over 400
Does that
foot-pounds of
mean it's
torque.
like an Italian?
Doesn't
diesel
have a
engine?
lot of horsepower, like 240 or 250.
I just got,
But
you
it's got
torque.
it's got an 8-speed
Runs on bologna.
Rolls-Royce transmission. So yeah,
Or
8-speed.
worse, I don't know.
You gonna go mudding with it? You know.
No,
my God.
Basically a
No, dude,
Phantom.
I'm
He's
gonna
gonna buy
baby-
a boat.
No,
and
I'm gonna
then
baby that.
Batch
thing.
Batch of shit.
I'm
Go
gonna baby that thing.
reform.
Oh, yeah?
Just
The fuel mileage is retarded in it.
I know. I heard
I'm
you.
getting
I
like close.
overheard
I'm
you.
getting close to like 30 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Can you carry
American
a
made.
skid of bricks in the bed?
The payload isn't huge, 1,200 pounds,
Okay.
which is
That's it?
a little over
Yo, you
half
got
a ton.
4 F-150.
Well, no, it has to do with the total gross weight of the vehicle. So
Oh.
because I got the crew cab, because I have the
Oh.
diesel, they're all heavier.
So if you
Fine
got a
print.
4
Fine print,
aluminum,
fine
you
print.
got aluminum.
Welcome to Truck Talk.
Well, my truck go.
You had something to say.
One
that
of the
was
best
important.
one of the
No,
best blogs is Truck Yeah.
Truck, yeah.
Truck, yeah.
Oh,
It's such a great
sponsored by
blog.
Backrack.
Okay.
Back rack. I emailed Adrian over
Yeah,
at
you
Back
want
Rack.
one for cost.
No, I didn't. I was gonna buy one. I'm gonna buy one.
Sweet.
I just said, like, is it better for me to go through one of your retailers or what? And he emailed me back, said, yeah, go talk to these guys. They're good.
All right.
I cannot wait to get a back rack on
Safety
my
rack
truck.
or
I want one
comp-
straight from the
I'm gonna go for
factory
the back rack, yeah.
with his signature
Back-
on
back-
it.
Back rack with a, I think I'm thinking about the undercover
North
flex
American
tonneau
made,
cover.
but use roll steel.
Yeah.
Optional tonneau cover.
Tonneau cover. Back rack. Home.
Guys, don't make fun of back rack. I love
I love back
that
rack.
brand.
If I ever buy
Dude,
a
you
truck,
wear the back rack shirt. He gave us these free shirts.
awesome.
I still have him.
It's got this
Nice.
big. It's got this big footprint on it. It says like put your mark, put your stamp on
Yeah.
it. I
I
love it.
love it. I love that shirt. I still have it.
What I love about that
I
company.
wear it at home.
What I
Shares
love
his
about back
intentions.
rack, anyone who drives a truck, you better be driving have a back rack on
rack.
it. But what I love about that company is when we first got the lead, they're like they're out near Oakville.
Oakville.
They're out near Oakville. They're in Burlington, I think technically.
No,
but
the Oakville.
they're Oakville, so it's like
Yeah,
this
I think
really
so.
expensive part of our city area. And
GTA.
it's this big company in my mind, right? It's just like, I'm like, oh man, we're meeting with Backrack. Like that's a
Backrack.
serious company. This
I
is
see
4 or
them
5
is a
years-
big company.
everywhere.
4 or 5
everywhere.
years ago. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
go and meet with them, and the owner is the coolest guy in the world. It's a nice small company.
Yeah.
They're like hustle. They do everything themselves. And I'm like Adrian's a cool guy, man.
Yeah, man.
He's
Is
too
their
he's too cool for
factory
me.
small
He
then?
has a jamming
No,
session.
they got a huge factory.
Okay.
He has a
Really?
jam in the room in his office. We have his drum set.
Yeah,
What, for real?
Don't give away
That's
too many
so
secrets.
funny.
Don't give away too many secrets. But
Got some
but
beards
I
going on.
love clients like that where they're
Background.
like they get their hands dirty. They don't
Yeah.
take crap from nobody. And
Even when we
and-
did the shoot, he could have easily sent an installer, but he came out. And
yeah,
took
he
care of all
installed
the
he installed
background
everything
and
himself
everything.
personally.
Sweet.
And remember we had that Bud Light Lime in the fridge for like 3 years. And I was like, hey man, you want a beer? And he's like, yeah, sure, okay. And I was like, oh, we got his Bud Light Lime. He's like, No, that's okay. No one.
What
would
happened
take,
to that beer?
I threw it out.
Oh.
No one would take this. So we were.
No, that's toilet water.
Backstory, Louis. When we used to shoot out the race series out in
My
Quebec,
baloney.
we would always buy beer, go back to the hotels, have a few beers.
Right.
We were shooting with someone. We were shooting with a camera operator who drank Bud Light Lime.
But like,
And so there was one beer left in the cooler.
So disgusting.
So I'm like, Roland, take. He's like, I'm not drinking that. So it goes in the fridge.
This person likes beer?
Was it
It
Belgrade?
was when Bud
It was
Light Lime was
Belgrade,
hot.
wasn't it?
yeah, it was Belgrade.
It was this old
But-
camera operator we used to work with. So anyway, he so we're like, and he's like, oh, just leave it in the fridge. So people would come by, I'd offer to them. It'd be a hot day, I'd offer to Roland. Like, so for the audience, we drink beer sometimes on Friday afternoons. We have a beer Friday. The beer sits there for.
Yeah.
I try to give it to Adrian. He doesn't take it.
didn't want it.
No one would take this beer. Finally, 3 years later, I throw it out. It's terrible.
That's a good call that you threw it out.
Anyway, back to the pitch.
Yeah.
I guess what I wanted to get into is okay. So we go to the pitch or the presentation. How do you put together a pitch that is actually going to work for the client? Because there are people out there who put the pitch with the three option: the shitty option,
Yeah.
the one the client wants, and the really expensive they will never go for. But here, proving you like I'm awesome. So
It's so funny because are you thinking about we have one client
Yes.
who told me
a client
that I had a client who told me that she did not like working with a certain agency
right.
because she knew that the first option was underachieving, the second option was exactly what they needed, and the third option is something that they can never approve, but the agency would have fun with coming up with to prove how smart they are.
Right.
And she's like, I want 3 creative concepts that are all feasible that
Yeah.
I can always take back. And she came to me and she said, I will not work with this other company because of this. And I was like, ooh. And so this is a few years ago. We never really did that because we weren't even really pitching back then. Like
Right.
years ago, we'd try to help people figure out what they need
Right.
based off of what they asked for.
Right.
And recently, like now that we're coming with creative concepts more,
Now we're
and
coming
pitching
out.
more and pushing forward more for people.
So why
we
weren't
don't?
we doing
to
that?
Roland's point, like we don't. Oh man, that's so. So guys, listeners, people do not like it, and they will call you on it if they're savvy enough. If you do that,
Yeah.
like, hey, here's one that's kind of simple, but we know not going to work for you. Here's the one exactly you need,
Right.
and here's the one that proves how creative and smart we
Good,
are.
better, best.
Right? Like, so if we're gonna do that, we come up with like 5 concepts,
Right.
and we the fifth-
5?
We'll pitch.
Sometimes
we'll
we
pitch
do 5, man.
when we do a national
Working hard
broadcast,
here.
we pitched 5 creative concepts. 4 of them or 3 of them, like what we'll do is go from most conservative to least, but the least conservative is still something we feel that they could approve.
Okay.
Right?
So everything works.
Like we were
the same,
pitching a bank for a recruitment series, a big bank on recruitment.
Right.
And one of our creative pitches we came up with, which we knew was risky, was hashtag WTF. Right, which we all know stands for like what the fuck, right?
Right.
But we said that the hashtag was working today in finance, and so they all loved it. They're like, "Ooh, could it get past legal?" And it became like a big discussion point.
Right.
But at least we knew that. At least we felt strongly that they could still go forward with it. Right, this idea of WTF, and how eye catching that would be, and how funny it would be.
So the bold idea, is that something that is a good fit for a specific client, or can you sell anybody on that?
A bold idea means different to each client.
Yeah.
So you just need to understand the client. If you come with a bold idea for a client that is just too bold, too crazy for that client, then you're doing what the other agency was doing, try to prove how cool they
Okay.
are. But if you come up with a conservative to bold, but within the tolerance level,
Right.
the focus is to create 3 things that actually could work. It's just a matter of choosing what they're comfortable with.
You know what it is, and maybe I need to work on this. You ever hear the wording or the comment like leaving money on the table,
Sure.
right? Like the idea that you're not pushing something as far as it could go, and therefore you're leaving money on the table.
Right.
The same concept holds true with creative, right? Like there's like the in the box and out the box. You can push the client. I don't like to approach projects and push for budget because there's this idea you're leaving money on the table.
Okay.
I think it's more honorable to try and work within a given budget, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work,
Right.
and you can have a very grown-up conversation about it. But if you're quote unquote leaving money on the table or chasing that money or trying to close that gap, I feel
Right.
like that eliminates your credibility because you're
Yeah.
going after budget.
That's right.
The same thing's true for creative, right? You can push. You can be. We could be accused of not pushing creative as far as possible, just like we don't push budget as far as possible. But I feel like you have stronger work when it's achievable, when it's not risky. Like for the client, like it doesn't contain inherent risks.
Right.
There are certain creatives we pitch where we outline for them the inherent risks involved. Like this pitch will only work based off of these 5 things happening. Right? Will these 5 things happen? If 3 of these things happen and 2 don't, it's not going to work. Let's not do this creative, right?
Right.
So, maybe like Roland accuses me of being a little square that way. Like get them excited about the idea, and then if it doesn't line up, it's not your fault. I don't approach it that way, right? Like I want to get them excited about the idea, but I only want to put ideas in front of people that are actually achievable. You know what I mean? It's like I'm a little bit square that way. Roland goes the other way.
Okay. And you would rather like approach it with just a little more bombast?
Bombast.
Mr. Bombastic?
Bombastic.
What song was that? Was that Shaggy?
I think
that's Shaggy.
No,
Shaggy.
I can see what Mark is saying. You try to work within their budget, but sometimes, so we all due respect to anyone out there. Who are you to tell me what things cost? And then maybe that's all you have, or you think that's all you have. But if we come out with something that actually gonna work, that is good, that's unique, that you like, but it costs X more than what you think it is, I think there's no harm in having the conversation, saying you really want this. This is what it really costs. Because a lot of the time, these people come up with a number. There's arbitrary.
Yeah.
They don't really know what they don't know. So how it's fine. It's honorable. We always try to work with people's budget, but sometimes we need a little bit more based on what we're trying to sell them. For example, just last week we got a conversation with someone who had a huge budget for just spend and media buy, but nothing for the actual creative creation of that product. So how do how did he come up with a rationale to spend like 1,800% more than the creative cost, because you think, does that make sense? Doesn't make sense.
There's like anything, there's a balance, right? You can't be so polarizing. You go one way or the other. You can't do the same thing every single time for every client. It's different. We have a certain amount of who are, I wouldn't say who are you to tell me how much something should cost. I would rather position it as in, what is your comfort zone for working budget? We all have comfort zones. And when you find out it's not realistic, this is what I tell people, right? Like if there's a minimum viable budget, if literally to do what you want will cost $10,000, spending $9,000 means you're wasting $9,000, right? Like spending $5,000 means you're wasting $5,000. If you can determine that it will cost $10,000 to achieve what you want, spending anything less than that means you're not achieving what you want, which means you're wasting all of your budgets. Right? This idea that exists in the marketplace that half measures give half results, like, if I spend 100%, I get 100% results. If I spend 50%, I get 50% results. No, you just pissed away all your budget. You did nothing. You might as well grab a cell phone and do something for free.
Right.
That's my view of the world. That's my mindset.
Yeah.
And so the way I look at it is I go, if your minimum viable budget is $10,000 to achieve what you want, and you have $10,000, let's start there. Right, that's a slightly different approach than let's talk about creative concept. Let's get you excited about stuff, and then show you. I don't want you just to spend the minimum viable amount, right? Like you need to spend more than that if you want it to look good, if you want it to be creative, and that's the area to get people excited in, right? So it's like, yes, to a certain degree, what Roland's saying. Just because you want what you want for the price you want it for, doesn't mean that it's going to exist. And in that case, that's when, like in any business decision, I want to hire someone for $50,000.
Right.
And then you go to the marketplace and you realize, oh crap, I can't get the person I want for $50,000. Do you suddenly just then say, well, it's $50,000 anyway? Or do you go, you know what, I got to reassess what I have to do. Yeah. Do I hire the person? Don't I hire the person? Do I got to spend more? Do I got to reassess this? That is the mindset we should be asking clients to bring to video or to any creative thing, right? Just because you want to spend $20,000 doesn't mean that it will work. But equally, when you tell the client that it's $35,000 or 40 or 50 or 60, it's their opportunity to be able to say, "Well, put the brakes on this. Don't just assume I'm going to spend $60,000 because you're telling me. I may choose not to do anything."
Right.
And then that's when we're going to talk about insight selling next week.
Right, but
that's when it starts to get into the gap. But
it's all part of the conversation. It's not just. You're not doing it through like glass windows and like.
I had a great conversation with
people.
With an old friend this week, someone that I worked with for many years, someone that early on in the firm I offered a job to. I wanted him to come into the firm.
Yeah.
And we got reconnected, and he's working for an organization that has a budget. He told me the budget up front, and I was like, like it's not like we can't do something. We just can't do what you want.
Interesting.
Like I explained this. I walked through this whole thing. I was just like, listen, man, we can do something. We definitely can do something for you, but it's not going to achieve what you want it to achieve. And what you want to achieve is more money. I can't tell you how much more. I know it's more, right? $5,000 more, $10,000 more, 15, 20. Like we can determine that. It's more. So is this now the point where you say, thank you, Mark, have a nice day, I'm going to go find someone else? Or are you open to spending more, right? Like all I'm asking you for right now is to say, yeah, it's going to cost more.
So there are limits to stretching a creative idea then. It's just not merely, like, because the inverse of that is like, if you don't have a good script but you have an amazing camera, it doesn't mean your project's going to be any better for it.
Minimum viable amount, minimum viable achievability. If, having a great script does not make a video great. Having great post doesn't. You have to bring everything together.
Right.
And the chances of bringing everything together and getting it right, it takes a lot of care and thoughtfulness. And in our industry, care means time. And time means budget.
That's right.
I don't know how to explain it other than, yes, you could do a project for $5,000 and you could do the exact same project for $12,000. I can guarantee you the $12,000 will be better. I can guarantee you it will be better. And the reason it'll be better is because you have more resources. You have like a simple decision. What's that?
That was interesting where you're going.
But I'm this open with prospects who come to us, right? It's not to say that we can't.
More resources equals better projects.
Yes, because you can spend. What's the difference between spending 4 hours and 20 hours on a script, or what's the difference between spending 18 hours on location scouts and shot listing versus no location scouts and shot listing?
Yeah.
What's the difference between spending an hour with voiceover talent and being able to do pickups if you feel they're failing? What's the difference between 3 days of editing and 20 days of editing?
There seems like there's a lot of things feeding into like the best idea for the client though, because you talked about risks, and I was
This is about delivery though.
Okay.
But I
More
think
budget will make a better project.
But then that's
hands
not
down.
about the pitch. Really,
but it is though, because you have to be, like, in my mind, before you can come with creative concepts, you have to understand the world they want to live in budget wise.
Right.
If you're pitching 10, it's different than if you're pitching 100.
So you narrow it to their budget range, and then you start figuring out ideas that work from risky to not risky.
Yeah,
but that are all going to make them happy.
Yeah, and then when you present and they go, and you may even want to include a few in there that are more aspirational budget wise.
There's a tricky thing with more budget makes a better project, because there are projects, and this happens in movies and everything, when people just throw money at it.
Yeah.
But when the essence and the skeleton of it is just rotten, no matter how much money you throw at it, it doesn't make any better.
Yeah.
So this is a tricky thing where it's about identifying more money.
It does make it better. It doesn't make it amazing. It's a better project, but it doesn't make it watchable.
So better from a technical standpoint, yes.
It's still better for the client.
But it doesn't make it better.
So here's your risk assessment too. I don't quite understand.
Okay, Mr. MBA,
what's
a risk investment?
Like, you're saying that there's 3 solutions. They're all great for the client, I guess. So they all must be interesting creatively at some level.
But you mean the inherent risks with any creative concept?
Yeah, because if you've got 3 on the table and one has 5 risks, like you said, is that not going to be the most creatively interesting one?
Potentially. Okay, so the way that the risks
it's not
work,
lining up with.
We have to be honest about something, guys. Right? Like, every idea will work on paper.
Right. Yeah.
And very few ideas work upon delivery.
Right.
So we were looking at this. I was looking at this probably 2 years ago, and I said, okay, every idea that we pitch is perfect, and yet when we deliver it, what went wrong? Like, what's the difference between here and there? And so what the difference is that there's scope creep, there's change requests. The client doesn't want to do 2, they want to do 4. They don't want to do 7 locations, they want to do 3 locations. And so the way I used to explain is like, okay, so imagine a scene where, and I think I've gone through this on the podcast, but like, imagine a scene where a little boy wakes up in the morning, comes down the stairs, sees the mother working at the kitchen, runs to her feet and hugs her. Sunlight streams through the window. And then the client comes in and goes, I love it. It's great. And then during production, it becomes like, well, it can't be a boy. It has to be a boy and a girl. They have to be different ages.
Yeah.
We can't get licensing for background music. So can we have no music.
Right.
Yeah.
The mom is wearing clothes that are blue, and that's a different brand. Can we put her in this other clothes? It can't be sunlight because that indicates whatever. It needs to be nighttime.
Yeah.
And can a friend be over so that way we can work in multicultural? Can one of them be in a wheelchair? Right? Like that's a bit of extreme, but
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like it's the same concept. What? And then they go like, the first ones seem to have so much heart and be so simple, and now you're delivering something that's not. Those are the changes that take place in production that affect creative. And so what I'd like to do is I like to look at a creative and say, what are the things that have to happen, that we have to protect the purity of to be able to deliver on, and what are the changes we can make?
Okay.
And so if we determine up front that we know that the client is going to probably, hey, this creative pitch is based on shooting on 5 continents. And they go like, I love it. We want to do it, but without travel. You're like, okay, is it the same? It's like, it's not the same thing.
So your other 2 concepts are like a little.
So how do you go? How do you incorporate that request when still keeping it interesting? Because we run into that situation.
Well, so the first thing is warning the client up front that if they're going to select this, that there are certain parts to the project that have to keep it core, and then there are others that don't. Right, like we're working on a project right now where it's testimonial based, and we pitched a creative concept for a certain topic, a certain way to interview people, and it's not panning out. But it doesn't mean it's still not going to be a good project. It's not a core element. The core element is real people sharing real stories. Right? It doesn't matter that the client's having trouble lining up people to share the type of story we wanted in the order in which we wanted it shared. Do you know what I mean? Anyone follow that, or is that too inside baseball now?
No. Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay, but so I guess the way we were interpreting, or I was interpreting, is like, so you got all those variables coming to it, and by dropping more money with the kid coming on the stairs, now you get in the drone and following the kid with the drone.
Mm-hmm.
Now in pose, we send in way more time in color correction, and we have now a way more expensive song to try to get that core emotion that was lost already.
Yeah.
And I know I address this in the office sometimes. They say putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig, even though it has lipstick.
That's one way to look at it. When I say a project has with more budget will be better, is coming from the point of view that almost all clients come with not enough budget. Right? Very few clients come with too much budget. Most clients come with not enough budget. So if someone comes to me with $12,000 budget, or someone comes to us with $18,000 budget, that $6,000 difference makes a world of difference.
Absolutely.
It makes the biggest difference in the world, and it may not seem that way to most people, but if our base fees, if our agency fees and script writing and voiceover talent and editing and data management and production, if all of our base fees add up to $9,000,
right,
and we determine like we cannot do this project for less than $9,000, we have $3,000 to play with. That's very different than the $18,000 budget, which gives us $9,000 to play with, which is very, very different from 25 or from 35 or from 40 or 50. I mean, at that point, we get into different creative where our base fee isn't $9,000. Our base fee is now $30,000, and because we're hiring different people and we're doing different things. But and again, I'm very clear with people about this. It's like there's a certain number of dollars that have to go to fixed costs for your project. Yeah. Every dollar above that is a resource we can use to make the project better. That's just a truth.
Right.
That's a true truth, as George Bush would say.
I can see it helping in pre.
What was that?
I can see it helping in pre-production the most. Like
by the time it gets to post to you, all the budget's gone, man. It's all allocated. It's all used up.
Yeah.
There's no extra like, hey, we have this little bucket of money. Let's play with.
You spend like a month in pre, and it's like this thing is solid. Even in through production, it's still solid. And in post, it's like we need a few days. Done.
It can like a lot of really strong, thoughtful, pre-pro can really save you budget on the back end.
Absolutely.
Unless things I guess go haywire.
Now the thing is though, like for most agencies, the back end is a revenue source.
Yeah.
That's more of a business. Mr. MBA would tell us now more about that.
That's what they call here in Toronto hookers Harveys.
What?
What's that?
Hookers Harveys.
Great milkshakes there.
I like Harvey's. Let's not speak poorly about our friends over at Cara Foods, who's a parent company of Harvey's.
I love Harvey's. I would go to Harvey's every day, but I wish you brought back the boiled potatoes. Old fries were better.
Oh man, the old fries were
Boiled-
better.
The boiled potatoes?
No, they were real potatoes all
You can't
chopped
talk
up.
like
and-
that, man. I can't
It was
understand.
beautiful. It was beautiful.
Huge.
The fries now are just from the bags.
Oh, are they? They've gone to like McCain's
Yeah,
French fries.
yeah,
they're not
they
the
used to be
they're not
so
the
good.
fresh cut ones.
No, those were good. So bring it back.
I actually like the
Harvey's.
KFC ones because they're battered.
They are all like
slightly
crunchy
battered.
and shit
Yeah.
now.
I've been into KFC
they are.
years.
The KFC
Yeah,
is
me
brutal,
neither.
man.
No, the chicken sandwich is okay. Like the wrap.
The big crunch is the
The
only
wrap.
thing.
The wrap is okay, but yeah, I mean, you're gonna feel it for days to come.
Yeah, man, you don't want to buy a
Like-
bucket
like-
of chicken from the KFC.
No,
It's disgusting.
no, allegedly. That's your
It
opinion.
tastes so
That's your
good,
personal
though.
This is
opinion.
not
That-
represent the
Except for the
thoughts of
Dorito
Phantom Media.
taco.
No, each speaker has their own opinion. You can go ahead and if you have any claims against Roland Echevarria
You want
for
good chicken? Go to Mary Brown.
What about Popeyes? You guys ever try that?
Popeyes?
Popeyes
See
is
you
great.
there.
Is that any
Popeyes
good?
is great. It's a very
Is
good
it?
chain. It's a very good chain. Whoever is marketing that chain, let me tell you, they are doing an amazing job.
Nice.
Very, very
Mary
good.
Brown's has the best chicken and home cut taters. Best.
Where is that?
Mary Brown's.
Mary Brown's.
Mary Brown's.
Mary
Yeah.
Brown's. It's one of the,
Anyway, do we have any
Duffer-
more questions? Are we literally
What
done?
happened? We're talking about the pitch.
We're talking about the
Don't talk
pitch.
Mary
We
Brown.
got really excited there for a little bit.
Well, we got into things that had nothing to do with coming up with ideas. Ideas are like, we've already talked about where jumping off points come from, where inspiration comes from, how you talk about things, how you think about things.
How do you come up with them? The concepts.
Usually Roland does. and then I
How
do
you doing?
it.
I
And
get
then
an email. I'm in
I
the toilet.
chisel them. So he comes up with these ideas, and I chisel them away until they're square enough that I feel we can
Okay.
put them in front of the client.
It's not like Minority Report where you go and there's like some lady in a pool of water
Full water.
who
No.
like
Wow, lots
gives
of
you
bleeping.
ideas.
Lots of bleeping.
No?
You got to
No,
bleep all these swear
There's
words.
two.
You
Three.
There's three of them.
Three.
of them.
But the female's always the smartest one.
It's so crazy.
Out
I
of the three.
report.
I just rewatched that a few months ago.
It's
Holds
a
up.
great movie.
Holds up. Steven Spielberg is
Yeah,
I
unlike
mean-
this TV show. Oh my god, what a piece
Never
of
tried
crap.
I
watching
didn't
it.
even watch
Yeah.
that.
I watched
No.
10 minutes of one. Other than the
It's really
woman,
long though.
probably
Minority
shot in
Report.
It's a long
Toronto.
movie.
It was shot in Toronto.
Oh,
Okay.
here's another pre-cranny.
Anyway. Roland, do you want to
Yes.
do you want to answer his question? Where did the
What's my
ideas come
question?
from?
What's your question?
Where did the
sir?
ideas come from?
Yeah.
Where does the magic happen? In his office. He goes to his private office.
My toilet. I sit there on my computer by myself.
Oh gosh. No
Rack
wonder
of
you're,
ribs.
no wonder you're
And stuff comes out.
Okay. That's so inappropriate. I apologize, Charles.
My apologies.
I apologize.
I don't know, man. You don't think of ideas as ideas. You just
No.
think of what is the issue, what's the problem. You try to just color it.
We
find
try to
a
get to
way.
core elements. Right? Like you try to boil down to the very, 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 very core of something. And then from that core, the best way to share it or explain it or experience it.
Okay.
And then rebuild it back up.
But do you draw? No. Do those come from drawing on influences or inspirations? By watching something, by reading something?
I think when you watch something, it helps you illustrate what you're thinking. But I don't think you're like, that reminds me of this. It's more like,
Okay.
I'm thinking this, and then you go back and like, was there something that like this or that? Maybe subconsciously, who knows? Maybe you can get a psychiatrist
I
or a
think so,
psychologist
yeah.
here and figure out why it comes that way. But it's not the first thought.
I find that if you can't break something down, at least personally myself, if we can't, well, I have to regardless, because even if Roland's developing creative or Oscar or anyone
Yeah.
else, when they come to me, if I have to be able to rationalize and justify why it would work on the client's behalf, I have to be able to vet it and say, yes, this is actually the best thing for the client, and here's why.
I see.
I got to be in a position to be able to understand their business. And I mean, I would feel like such a fraud if I got excited about something and told the client they had to do it and I didn't vet it, right? Like I cannot, when I started in marketing,
Yeah.
I thought that most marketing happened the way that it happens on TV, which is
Right.
how really big advertising happens.
Right.
Really big advertising, they come up with creative concepts, they do research. They do mock-ups, they do research. They do the spots, they do research. They
Right.
release the spots, they do research. Then a year later, they do research, and it's just like constant research. I thought that's what marketing was.
Right.
And that's today, really big advertising campaigns get that.
Right.
I was surprised to find out, whatever it was, whenever I started, 2005, that most marketing happened the way that we're having a conversation right now, where people would get around a room, someone would get excited about something, someone would say something, and they'd say, yes, let's do it, and then they would just do it.
Wow.
And I remember being in one of these rooms where I spit out an idea, and everyone got excited about it. and I was like 23. I was like 22 or 23, and I had no marketing experience. And they said, "Yeah, let's do that." And I went, "Wait, like, isn't someone gonna
Research it.
isn't someone gonna figure out if my idea that I just came up with is actually good or not?" And no one ever did. And I was
surprising.
like, huh. And then I realized that our whole industry is based off of people coming up with ideas and just going ahead with them. And that makes me really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so if I can't, when someone comes to me with a creative idea, or if I'm developing a creative idea, if I can't take the time to do our due diligence to ensure that it really, really, really is in their best interest to the best of our ability without research, and really be able to justify why we feel it's strong for them, it makes me super uncomfortable to present creative. And so I get down to the core element, the core idea, and when the guys come to me, they have to pitch me on before we can pitch it to a client.
Right.
They have to be able to present to me why we should do it. Why does this work? Why is this a good idea? And usually the best things come out of us working together.
Yeah.
Them having one point of view,
Okay.
the creative,
That makes sense.
and the actual how it will be delivered, and me having the other, more business minded point of view to be able to know, you can say square, that's fine, to be able to justify for a client why it is in their interest to pursue our idea. And we only do that because I realize that they're never going to do that. Like, they're going to be
They
like,
don't. No, they won't.
some really, really, really good savvy.
If they
We have a lot of
marketing
clients
department
who are
or-
really good and savvy.
Yeah.
The smaller clients are paying us
Yeah.
to do this for them.
Yeah.
And so, like, we have one client we're working on where Roland came up with a great script, super, super funny, really strong. There was a few ideas I was questioning, but Roland said, "Oh, should we run it by the client?" And the client loved everything. And I said,
Yeah.
"Hold on, let's put on the brakes. Like, we have to spend some time scrutinizing whether what we're doing is the best interest." And he's
Right.
like, "Well, the client likes it. I like it. Let's go."
Right.
Let's do this.
And I'm like, "No, like, we owe it to the client to put in the wrench time to make sure it's going to happen."
That makes sense.
What's the vibration?
You don't just jump over the pit wall without researching,
That's right. Are we doing truck conversations right now? Yeah, I'm looking for my truck parts. Really, but
Hot mic.
But really, when it comes to ideas, I don't know. I'm not an idea guy, but I think,
Well, but you are.
But yeah, but I don't see myself as that. I just trying to identify the needs, and I see it through a lens of a person. Because no matter what we do, what we create is for an audience, and the audience are people. And it's just, I'm a very skeptic person, so I always look for flaws in things.
Right.
I'm not very, I'm optimistic, but I'm not like blind optimistic.
Yeah, right.
Optimist. It has to feel right. It has to feel like it makes sense. So when client has needs and all this stuff, I'm looking at all the things, trying to find the hole. So sometimes client, I want to say this, and I go like, does the audience even care? Does the audience do even know about that? And then that's how I start kind of formulating things.
Okay.
Because it's easy for someone to sit in a meeting and take notes and say, okay, yeah, we need to put the brand forward. Okay, this is our tagline, and this is our USPs. But sometimes they don't even question what they're typing and sending to us. So my job is to question everything, and that's the best way to come to like the purest form or whatever, or the stuff that's not BS. We had a project that they say when it's a client, they introduce something,
Yeah.
part of their marketing, and they wanted to grow it. So when we have the conversation, all that stuff, we read the brief and all that stuff, coming up with creative. I came up with creative, including that, expanding that. But then I said to Mark, to be honest, they should just kill that part of that marketing piece. It didn't work. It's not going to work. It's just messy. It's messy. Too many messages. Just hone into one message. We came in with an idea for killing it. So 3 concepts, 2 including their thing and 1 without it. They liked it, whatever. Guess what? 2 weeks later, they killed that whole thing. They're never going to move forward with it. They're not going with the idea necessarily that we said, don't use that. But they finally internally thought about it, and like, it doesn't make sense to push 3 messages instead of just pushing the 1.
Right. Right.
So
to a certain degree, you're essentially kind of a filter. You're filtering some of that noise and trying to
Because
chisel away into the kind of purest form, like you said.
yeah, I'm not part of the organization.
Right.
I don't work there. I'm not drinking their Kool-Aid.
Right.
And I'm not offending anyone by just questioning it.
Exactly.
And that comes back with the pitch. when you come in is and being honest and I feel like I'm not questioning you're saying because you're not gonna hire me. No, hang on a second. Let's question it. Just by questioning something, that doesn't mean you're offending someone or
No.
you don't take him seriously. You're just because you're just questioning. You're there for that reason to question what they're saying.
Right.
And to help them develop something better. And it's so much easier when you have in an organization everyone is marching one way. Some people point the arrow or the direction and they drive, and then everyone around them just follows and never questions. And then they come to us, and we can easily just follow just like everybody else,
Yeah.
or we are the filter person say that question like, hey, I know you're going straight, but based on what we're talking about, it seems like you need to make a left turn right here, right now. And they could say, huh,
Give them perspective.
that's a good idea. Let's turn left. Or they might say, no, we continue the course. But at least we did our part to raise the flag and say,
Right.
you guys probably should be doing a left turn. And most of the time people take it or make that they not might make the full left, but at least it got them thinking and then shift their direction of where they're going.
Right.
And so that's healthy, I think. And if they're coming to us, it's for that reason, not to be just quiet and say, yes, sir.
Sorry about that. What did I miss, guys?
Is this all the Trek conversations you were having there?
I just got the call from the client. We just closed another deal. Ding, ding, ding. Can't say the client's name. You got to bleep that.
What did you say?
He don't worry. He said a client name.
Just delete that. Delete
Yeah.
it.
I'm really.
Salad.
So one other thing that got us the deal on that one. Not only are we smart, and I didn't actually pitch any creative. I pitched technical for them. I gave them 3 references, and they called our references, and they raved on and on about how
No
awesome Roland
kidding,
is.
eh?
What?
Man, people still do that,
Eh?
eh? Wow.
I gave 3 references. Yeah, they called
Wow.
and they went on, and our references, who people we love, worked with a long time, they love Roland, and we're not putting Roland on this project.
What?
So she literally
Oof.
goes, just quick question, who's Roland? Because the contacts
man.
really love Roland, so we want to work with him. And I was like, ugh.
Oh,
I'm
really?
like, well, I said Roland's
That's
on
funny.
5 other projects. I could put him on your project now,
Yeah.
but I can't dedicate that much time.
Right.
She's like, oh, okay, that's fine. It was fine. It was fine.
No,
worries.
no. It's good to be
Roland, you
Good
don't
to-
have time.
competitive.
Okay, so that was our conversation on creative and the pitch. I know it went all over the place. I know that people are going to be like, what the hell are these guys talking about? But hopefully, amongst all that stuff,
we should do? We should
there
do
was
This
Give
is
us
a
a
round
summary.
table. This was a round table.
hopefully there was some
Summary.
gold. Hopefully there was some
Yeah.
nuggets.
Oh my
What should we do,
There's
Roland?
some good
We should call the
nuggets.
ice truck company to send a truck here for some ice cream.
Oh, that was awesome. That guy
I would
should-
love
Did you
it so right
notice
now.
a week? Was it a week ago where the ice cream truck literally just? I think they went to the school, and then when they left the school, they pulled up right outside our door.
What? Where
and
was
just,
I?
And just you were working from home or something.
Was there like a sea of people there?
No, there was no one. They sat
Yeah.
there with the music playing.
They're like,
I wanted
"Come on."
I wanted to go out with a baseball bat and tell them to bugger off. You know, like
No, I
don't
want the
just
ice
sit
cream.
outside my office with the music playing.
Oh man, well those twists are so good,
Oh man,
so delicious.
those are the best, right? The ones with the chocolate and the vanilla.
Yeah, man, the twist.
Yeah, man.
What are the ones where you have the
And the
cone
dip.
dipped in chocolate with the nuts on top?
That's good too.
That's
you
cold.
can buy them. You can buy them
Nuts
with
in the mouth.
Well, drumstick.
a drumstick.
Drumstick, yeah.
We had a
What
box. We had a box of them in our freezer, and my kid
Nuts
left
in
the
your
freezer
mouth.
door open for 3
Oh,
days. So we had to throw everything out in that freezer because we have a fridge in
the
our basement.
caramel filled one. Oh, they're so good.
Yeah. Last night I was going through. I was like, oh, chicken breast. You know how expensive chicken breast
That's
is
expensive
up in Canada?
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
Boneless,
expensive.
skinless chicken breast. Throwing it out.
No.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
days
That
was it
upsets me.
open?
3 days.
Ooh, that's
Oh.
done.
Well, I was in the
All done.
basement. I was in the basement, and I'm like hearing this like sound. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I like go around the corner,
Is
and the
this-
fridge is making a crazy racket. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is up with that? So I walked to the fridge, and it was like left open 2 inches.
Oh,
But it was during the heat wave,
Yeah.
and the freezer's just like going for 3 days straight. So I close it. I go upstairs. I'm like, hey, like, and there was like we had raspberries and stuff in there for
Oh,
baking. The juice was
man.
everywhere. I was like, hey, you left the door open last night. I said to my wife, the kids left the door open last night.
Yeah.
She's like, no, that was like 3 days, 3 days
She knew
ago.
about it?
No, she just knew that the kids hadn't been down there in 3 days
Oh,
because it's our second fridge, right? Like
Should
we
put
have
a Rochester
big
on
family.
it.
You get a
Right.
big
Back
family, you got to have yourself some
Yeah.
fridge
Why don't you
room.
build a back rack in front of it?
A back rack. Well, I got that wood pile in front of it.
Oh man, I wish I could buy a truck right now.
You want to go? You know what?
F-150,
Let's go right now, guys.
Lots of chrome.
We're gonna go for a
put
ride right
back
now
rack
in the
now.
Dodge Ram Ecodiesel.
That you recorded. Finish the end of the podcast while we're driving.
Anyway, Kyle, any final thoughts from you, buddy? You've been pretty quiet this whole time.
No, I just was more interested in the risk part.
On the what?
So
That
we
was
got to
good. That was
develop.
good.
You got to develop a framework. That's
Yes.
what's key.
So what
Yes.
frameworks?
It's all about the framework.
Get the framework going.
I can't wait. I can't wait for you to start challenging my thinking here. Like I come in like I'm self-taught at everything. I just go. I shoot off my hip. That's what they say. Shoot from the hip.
Yeah, shoot from the hip. Yeah.
I go with my gut. I go with what I think feels right. And
That's
then
the
Mr.
best way
MBA
to do
here is
it.
coming in here questioning my.
I think the intention thing's good. I think if someone wants a takeaway, it should be like going with intention.
That's right.
You can't argue with someone's intention. And the
Yeah.
other thing
Yeah.
about intentions
That's a good
is
point.
that everything else is liquid. Everything else can move.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Right?
Fluid.
Like
Up
you
and
want
down,
to you want
left
to
to right.
change. You want to
You
change
can change a
creative.
lot of
Change the
things.
creative.
Yeah,
You want
yeah,
to change
yeah.
budget. Change budget.
But
You want
You
to
can go
change
intentions.
vertical, horizontal, anywhere you want to go.
You
Yeah.
can go up. You can go down.
Go left and right.
Or
Sideways.
right to left. I
Left.
prefer right to left because I'm right-handed. I know you're left-handed.
left-handed,
You
left
prefer
to
left to right. But you can go any direction.
Sometimes they can slow to the left, to the right.
Okay, guys. Anyway,
Only in Miami this happens.
thanks, Louis, for joining us.
Hey, no problem.
And Roland,
Yes.
as always, Kyle,
My sugar levels are dropping.
and that's
So I'm being
uncalled for.
quiet.
That's uncalled for.
Sorry.
That's too close.
All right,
too
guys.
soon.
Thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions, comments, changes, suggestions, feedback, you can email us feedback@notsocorporatepodcast.com.
Complaints.
Complaints can come straight to Louis, Louis, Louis at phantommedia.com.
And to my fans, until next time.
Until next time, if you can also reach us on Twitter at Phantom Media. Next week on the podcast, we have Michael Harris speaking about insight selling. Very
Mike
cool.
Harris? Does it say Mike Harris?
Michael Harris, you were in the pre-recorded
He
podcast. Anyway,
sold off the 407.
He sold it off. Close the hospital was born in.
Who was there?
Who is there, Mike Harris?
anyway, talk next week. You better not cut any of this stuff out. This is ear gold right here.
Ear
Is that what it is?
It's Ecodiesel
It's ear
right
something.
here.